Welcome to Sports Unfolded Patriots post-game review after facing the Houston Texans. Week 5. New England pulls out the victory, 25-22, late second field goal. Actually puts them in second place in the AFC East if you look at the fact that, hey, I'm going to take wins for wins. Miami lost and the Jets lost, which puts us in second all by ourselves. So we've moved up in the division after today's victory.
This is true.
First impressions of today's game.
It was a really shaky start for that defense. Like it was not pretty. Again, discipline, fumbles, drops.
Yeah.
Like that was the first half in a nutshell.
So they kept mentioning it on the broadcast. They seemed flat, didn't seem like they were really into it. I don't know if they took it for granted, didn't think they really had to play hard today. That's kind of what I saw on the field early.
That's what I did too.
And then it just seemed like, look, in the second half, even through the third quarter, I still didn't see enough to say well, they're going to win this game.
Yeah, it was like late in the third quarter when it just like they turned the switch on and it's like, oh, wait, we're down 22-9. We need to start playing.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I'm going to say that the Houston Texans coaching staff is probably one of the worst I've seen. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, you can go for so many fourth downs before it's going to eventually cost you something.
And it did cost them.
And that punt, that fake punt, non-punt, hits off the teammate's helmet. Yes, we only got a field goal out of that. But you could see it was almost like you were antagonizing the Patriots, saying, like, look, we know you can't stop us, so you know that we could do whatever we want against you. And I think that's what finally woke that team up to say,
I think so.
Yeah, you're not taking us for real. And, I mean, maybe that's the spark they need. I mean, next week's not going to be an easy game. But let's talk about Mac Jones. He went 23 for 30, 231 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. What kind of grade would you give him today?
Probably about a B. It wasn't great. There was some times where he threw into coverage.
That it should have been an interception. There was 2 of them that should have definitely been.
Yeah.
He got lucky on.
But again, it's like even if one of those did turn out to be a pick, you expect that from a rookie. The hit that caused his first pick there, well, his only pick, but that was just a good defensive play, really. And he's just been victim of drop balls a lot too. So, when you weigh it all out, he's done a good job. I don't think this was his best game by no means. I think last week was by far his best game. But I would probably say this was probably his maybe third or fourth out of all 5 games. But I mean, it wasn't anything that was going to. He didn't lose, the game. That's the key. It's like he's not doing anything so bad that he's causing losses. Those losses are attributed elsewhere on that team.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, and I think we've talked about it. It still seems like the coaching staff held him back today. Like we saw when he ran the no huddle last week against Tampa. Green feet. Thanks for joining. But right, there's so many opportunities for them to hurry it up. He seems more comfortable when he's in that kind of situation, and they didn't do it at all in this game. I mean, there was no huddle, any hurry up in this game whatsoever, and I don't understand what the mentality would be from the coaching staff. And then they finally let the kid throw in the red zone, and he gets that touchdown to Hunter Henry. So, again, they seem to take him and put him in bad situations at times, especially in the red zone.
Yeah, it's like we talked about this last week. We know next week they had to play Dallas. This would have been a great week to experiment on things that you need to get ready for with Dallas. And they didn't do it. They played the most conservative game you could possibly play, really. Offensive line, though?
Look, they held their own, considering.
They did.
And I even think the sack, I mean, that was a combination of Stevenson just got blown up as well. That guy just bull rushed two guys, the offensive lineman and Stevenson. So
yeah, Stevenson didn't look like he even knew what to do on the play, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, so
he just stood there.
So I wouldn't even consider. I mean, to me, they yes, it counts as a stat, but I don't think that sack would have, you know what I mean, really counted against that offensive line. What about the Damian Harris? So he had 14 carries, 58 yards, a touchdown. Obviously, the fumble early in the game, but then the injury as well. So we've talked about the depth at running back at this point and where they stand. You know, I think we were talking during the game and Sony Michel being traded. How bad does that trade look now for them? Because they are down to 2 running backs right now, and that's Bolden and Ramon Stevenson. So,
well, technically 3 because Taylor didn't dress.
We're not going to see Taylor again.
No, that's the point. Like, you're not going to see him again, and so you're now running back is in dire straits situation.
Yeah. They're in really bad shape right now. So
now, if Bolden goes down, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah. They've really got to figure out a way to shore this up. If it's signing somebody, or he's going to have to put faith back in, Taylor a little bit, because if you look at
that's not happening.
I didn't think we were going to see Harris again after that fumble, because then Stevenson came in and played 2 series after that. And I'm like, all right, there we go. Harris is sitting now. And he ended up bringing him back because they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You're getting to that point where you're running out of options.
And that's the scary part, bringing him back in when he was already hurt. Like, he might have had bruised ribs at that point, but I can almost guarantee that that's broken ribs. That's broken ribs right there, because he couldn't breathe. That was the problem. He could not breathe.
Yeah, so he might be out.
It could have also punctured his lung, and then you have even more problems.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see how they figure out this running back situation. We finally got to see some of the tight ends, though. Hunter Henry, 6 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Jonnu Smith had a couple catches, also had like an end around late in the game. So it seems like they're getting a little more involved in the offense, which is nice to see. Definitely starting to see that seam route a little more from the tight ends, a la Grunk and Brady back in the day. So if they can figure that into the game plan, that's going to ultimately help this offense.
Oh, absolutely. Hunter Henry, I think, is a really big key, because he's a big target. Like, he's not as athletic as Gronk, but this guy is a huge target, and he's not going to get out-muscled anywhere. And if he does catch the ball and he has momentum, he's a tough player to bring down. So it's trying to get him into open space, and getting that running start is what they really want. But I will take, the 10, 15-yard catch by him in traffic and just holding on to that ball, because to me, that's how you have to make the catch, and you hold on to that ball. It doesn't look like he would give it up to anybody.
Turd Mistress, thanks for joining. Let's look at a couple of the defensive guys. So we had Duggar, who had 10 tackles. Seemed like he was all over the field. Dirty Die, thanks for joining. Right, so Duggar definitely seemed like he was active. We saw some of Hightower today, which was good.
Yeah, 1 tackle? Did he only have 1?
No, 5.
I saw him once. Oh, he had 5. Holy
5 tackles. Definitely was in the backfield a lot. Judon, 2 sacks again. Guy just is everywhere on that field on defense.
Now, does that count as a fumble recovery that he got at the end of the game?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because, like, I know when they said the play call at the end, they called it an interception, but I'm like, that's not an interception. No, that was a fumble recovery.
The only thing that scared me is he was trying to pick that ball up, and it's going everywhere. And I'm like,
he kept kicking it back, and back.
That's all we need right now is this thing to go sideways.
Just jump on it.
Like, what are we doing? They teach you that right from Pop Warner. Jump on a fumble. Just jump on a fumble. Nick Falk, 4 for 4, 2 field goals of 52 yards. missed the extra point, but it just seemed like early in the game everybody was missing extra points. Even in other games, there was kickers missing extra points. I don't know what's going on.
I think the total is 8.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on today, but
as of halftime.
Not a game for kickers. So those are some of the positives. What about some of the negatives? Houston 3 for 3 on 4th downs.
Some of the negatives, again, all was spurned by the defensive side of the ball on
how can
the first 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, so 3 for 3 on 4th downs. It was driving me nuts because I don't understand. And if one of them, it was 3rd and 16. They give up 15 yards on 3rd down to make it a 4th and 1. Like, they were putting themselves in such bad situations. It wasn't like it was a 4th and 1 each time, or a third and short. It was 3rd and long, and they were giving up enough yardage to make Houston actually consider it. Because I know there was another one where it became a 4th and 2, and after it was a 3rd and 16 or something to that effect as well. So, not quite sure.
Yeah, and Houston's not a good team.
Not at all.
This is probably the worst team in the league doing this to you.
We deserve to lose this game, without a doubt. And it was just poor coaching on the other side of the field. And I'm not saying that we coached much better. It was just such bad coaching on Houston's side that, to me, that's the only reason why we won this game.
Yep, I agree with that. It was certainly different to see a game like this. I don't even know how Houston lost this game. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it seemed like it was just so far ahead.
Yeah, they had control.
Yeah.
You didn't see anything from New England to make you think that they could come back and win this game. And again, I even after that punt, I think we texted each other and we said, how do they not capitalize? They were on the 30 and they couldn't score a touchdown. And you're going, okay, well, kicking field goals isn't going to win this game. They needed to get some points in the, in the end zone. Like, what are we doing? And it just wasn't happening. And they went 6 for 11 on 3rd down. So not horrible, but I'm still seeing the 3rd down play calling sometimes from Josh McDaniels is a little frustrating to me. He puts that kid in such bad situations. 2 straight runs.
I don't think it's the third. I don't think it's the 3rd down. I think it's that 2nd down play calling. Like, you run the ball, and then everybody, they know that you're going to run the ball again.
And you do it
so
again.
they put in 8 men in the box, and you're getting stuffed, and then you get that 3rd and long again all the time. So it's that 2nd down. You got to do some play action. You have to. You can't just say, "Hey, here you go, run the ball again. Here you go, run the ball again." You don't have, an Emmitt Smith or a Barry Sanders or something. You don't even have a Curtis Martin.
Yeah, you don't have much right now on running back.
So you can't just say, "Here, run the ball," because you're not an all-star back that can just go out there and go get 5 yards every time.
I know earlier before the season even started, we said this is what they wanted to be. Their identity was going to be run the ball,
yep.
Quick short passes. Listen, you had 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen who were out. How effective were you going to be running the ball regardless, especially after last week where you were negative 8 yards? I mean, I think they got 100 yards today total, over 100 yards, but it was a grind. It wasn't even like it was some solid. It looked like more in the 4th quarter. They actually started to get the legs and were able to push the pile. And I think that was more Houston was just tired.
Absolutely. I think they were worn down defensively, which I'm actually surprised because I didn't really see like the Patriots were giving them hard yards. You know what I'm saying? It's like most of the carries that they were doing, it was just like one hit, boom, you're down. And it was nothing that was just really grueling and grinding that the Patriots were doing. And so I was a little surprised that they looked exhausted, but this is not a very good defense. So when they're playing above and beyond, that is expending a lot of energy as well. So I think the total of all of the game itself, with all that grinding and them basically overachieving, to be honest with you. Just I guess maybe wore him down faster than.
Yeah, so I was surprised. I mean, the toughness. They showed a lot of toughness, Houston. They were hitting harder. You definitely saw, a lot more
on Harris, man.
Yeah. So I just saw that even the fumble with the punch. I mean, that's what New England used to do, and you're not seeing them have those type of plays, and that's where that coaching to me isn't doing what they need to do. It just seems like we're just hopeful that they can just not make enough mistakes to win a game instead of really trying to take the game to the other team and try to force their hand. And it's not happening in New England. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's just it. We're not seeing the aggression of the defense. And it's almost like because you're baiting Mac Jones, and let's be honest, that's what they're doing. I think it's starting to rub off on the defense, and it's not making them play as aggressive and hard-nosed and tough. And the only person you're really seeing it every week is Judon. And, Jamie Collins, I give him a lot of credit for today. He got that one sack. That's great. It's probably the only play I even noticed him on all game long. But that's what we're talking about when we said, the purpose of him signing.
Yeah.
The purpose of him signing might not necessarily to be his skills. It's to get Hightower and Van Noy and the rest of the linebackers start moving.
No, so we saw some good things from him, which the move he made to get that sack. I mean, listen, he's very athletic, and if he could just stay focused. I think again it's a great pickup for us. I mean, losing Gilmore, it was noticeable. J.C. Jackson at the beginning of this game, a couple of penalties that I'm just like, what is he doing?
You can't get away with that next week.
Yes, yeah. No. So we already know the expectation next week is the only benefit we have is at home, and we got to pray for some weather again.
Yeah,
we need that New England weather in there, but like we do at the end of each show, we go through our Lighthouse Awards. So, Ron, Lighthouse Awards, you're number 3.
Well, I had a tough time deciding between the offensive line, basically Andrews, because I think he might have done something to make this line play a little better. So, and him and Nick Falk. So I'm going to split it with Andrews and Falk. Giving Andrews most of the credit on that offensive line because he's the only starter remaining. And I think he had a lot to do with the other players playing together for the first time this season. And then, of course, Nick Falk with his multiple field goals, as he starts a new streak of consecutive.
Yes.
Until we play Tom
and now I look at that 56-yarder, and I'm saying he could have made it. So my number 3 was the offensive line. I thought in general all 5 of them played really well considering they don't normally play together. And they talked about it a lot during the game, but stamina, they didn't seem to lose stamina. They actually were running hotter in the fourth quarter than they were in the first 3 quarters. So to me, offensive line was my number 3.
Yep.
Number 2.
I have Hunter Henry at number 2. Look, what did he have? 4 or 5 catches?
6 catches, yeah.
6 catches. Okay, so it's not woo, wow, look at all those catches. It's the time of those catches. It's the quality of those catches and what he did, to get them in first down and et cetera, et cetera. Those were quality. That is exactly what we needed from a tight end, and he provided that. He provided it. So Hunter Henry was definitely my number 2, and it was tough too. He played tough.
He did. Very good game for Hunter Henry. I had Matt Judon at number 2, and I just thought that he was that constant on the defense no matter what. Even when they were not playing well, he was in the backfield. He's creating havoc. He's what we expected him to be. He's actually, I think they said it during the broadcast as well, through 5 games now, the all-time sack in 5 games with New England. So, you know what I mean? So ahead of Andre Tippett and Chandler Jones. So 2 really good players. Obviously, Andre Tippett, one of the all-time greats in New England. So to be able to top him in sacks in your first 5 games is pretty impressive. So I went with Judon. Number 1?
Number 1, for I think my 3rd week in a row is Judon. Like, this guy is just like, look, 2 sacks and a fumble recovery right at the end of the game. And then the plays that he's in on, because you can see those red sleeves everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. He's in on everything. So, no surprise for me. He was the number 1 player again for the New England Patriots.
No. It's refreshing to see. You don't see this a lot in New England with these, you know what I mean, these pass rushes like that. So it's really fun to see. I had Nick Falk at number 1. And I looked at the 252 yarders. Those are not easy kicks. I don't care who it is, how far it is, right? But so 252 under Deadmon 666. Thanks for joining. Right. So how great was it to see him, after missing that 56, and you could say he could go a whole other way. He ended up, making those 2. And then at the end of the game, with the game on the line, were you nervous about him making that kick?
No, I wasn't today.
Right. Like this is what he's created now with New England, is that you're pretty much assured that he's going to make most of them. And it's refreshing to see him run out there. And I was like, all right, they got this. Normally I'm don't want to see it. And I was like, nah, he's got it. We're okay. So Nick Falk was my number 1.
I was comfortable on all 4 of those field goals. I was comfortable. And I'm like, okay, we're getting another field goal. That sucks. But we got another field goal, and that was good.
Yeah, we're getting points. The only thing I said negative about it was if he had made that extra point early in the game, we would have been up by 1 point and wouldn't have had to worry about a field goal at all. But all right, you can't be perfect all the time. So once again, if you enjoy our show, we do our actual Sports Unfolded show every Friday night at 6 p.m. on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Rhode Island _broadcasting on Twitch. Follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports _Unfolded on Instagram, and listen to us on Amazon, Anchor, Google, and Spotify. So many different ways. Chimera Killer, hello. Thanks for joining. Lone Ranger, thanks for joining. Yes, Rhode Island. We're from Rhode Island originally. I'm still in the New England area. Ron's still in the New England area, but
I'm somewhere around here.
Yeah. So born and raised a lot, Rhode Island. You can hear the accent, I'm sure, at times. So real quick before we sign off, Ron, obviously it's a late game, 4:25 in New England. Expectations next week for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, this could be pretty bad, but we thought that with Tampa Bay, like this defense has to get up for this one. This is going to be a tough one, because we have to worry about Zeke and Zach.
Zeke and Dak.
Dak, yeah.
The
Z did it to me. Zeke and Zach.
It's like Dak. A Disney show now,
Yeah.
Yeah, Mari
but no,
Cooper.
it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough game because they can put up points. It's just whether or not Dallas can, hold the teams, and we know that the Patriots is not a good offensive team. So,
So the only thing I was talking to one of my buddies earlier, and he said something. Sometimes it seems like teams play to their competition.
Yeah,
I think we saw that tonight. We saw with Tampa that they played up. Maybe with Dallas, they play a little better.
And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that they can keep it close, and you never know. Because, Mac Jones can bring them down the field. It takes, a lot of time to bring them down the field most of the time. But he can get them down there and kick that field goal. So if you're within a field goal, you got a shot. It's just that you got to play some great defense. You need takeaways. And you need to disrupt Dak Prescott
as much as possible.
much as you possibly can. So we need a huge game from Judon. We need Barmore and Guy and all these guys to step up in their positions and their roles and do their thing. Jamie Collins, I think that would be. I'm going to point at Jamie Collins next week. He got a sack today, but he's a player that has the athleticism to be a real disruptor, and he's got a lot of time in. He's a very, very good veteran player that can find those holes.
Yep, definitely. So we'll obviously break down the game on Friday on our show. And then if you are a hockey fan, join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. as we do our NHL preview show.
Yeah,
excited about that. I know Ron's the hockey guy, so we'll definitely have some fun tomorrow night.
I've got 4 teams done so far.
First and foremost, I want to also say Kenny, who usually joins us, that he's under the weather. We hope he's feeling better and gets well soon, so he can join us at some point in the next couple of weeks. But Ron, always a pleasure. Pats win 25-22, late second field goal to move to 2-3 on the season. We will be on next Sunday at probably about 7:30. So if you're a Pats fan, join us then for that. And Ron, you take care. Fans out there, have a good night.
All the fans, have a great night. Thank you for listening.